We're still in the office, but we're getting closer by the day to getting back into the workshop. Today, it's all about picking new antique and vintage stock to send off to Vintage Cash Cow.
At 29 and I find myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set the rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again.
I tried to record the reveal in my office, but it was too small. So if you see my builders, don't tell them that I broke it in to the workshop. We've got loads of natural light coming in, so hopefully this will improve the quality of the videos for you. I've got my coffee, so we're all set. There's loads of stock, so what I'm going to do is split this into 2 videos. So what we'll do now is just look at one of the boxes that I'm going to be sending off to Vintage Cash Cow. Right, first up, we have a silver-plated, well, for want of a better description, a silver-plated ice bucket. Could be used as a vase, but got some age, antique, more than likely. And there is a maker's mark on the base, and it confirms that it is EPNS, which is electroplated nickel silver. So it's not solid silver, it's plated, but it's old enough and it's interesting enough to send off to Vintage Cash Cow. Next we have, this is more vintage, as you can see, and it's a lovely little cat key rack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little hooks on it. Nice, interesting, decorative little piece, hand painted. Hang it on the wall, in your hall or in your kitchen, or possibly in your kid's bedroom, and you've got a nice little key rack. Next up, we have a good old classic. This is a brass galleried tray, and they call it galleried because of the edge to it, or the raised rim that runs all around it, and it's pierced design. So that's a galleried tray. Now, I think this would have been the base metal before it was silver plated. So it's antique, or certainly early part of the 20th century, and it's Indian, as you can probably can't pick this up. Well, you might be able to, but there is an engraved or an etched design in the tray which would have really jumped out when it was silver plated. So still functional, antique or vintage, in the pile for Vintage Cash Cow. Right, here we have a 19th century silver plated chamber stick. Now, I know it's silver plated because I've done a magnet test on it, and there is a trace, albeit small, but there is a trace of magnetic properties. So it's not solid silver, it will be silver plated, and it's probably on a brass base metal. It's also missing the candle snuffer, but it's still an attractive design. They sell well, although it's not of high enough value to go onto my Antique Central website. So it will be going off to the Cash Cow. But a lovely little 19th century chamber stick. I'm not sure what they'll make of this, but it is a vintage wooden letter tin. Can't say much more about it, to be quite honest. Came out of an old shop and would have been possibly decorative or part of their logo brand name. But it's certainly got a bit of age to it. You know, in itself, it's not worth anything really, but I'm going to send it off because I don't just want to send it to the landfill. These are quite interesting in themselves, and to be quite honest, I think that they may end up as a pair on my antiquecentral.co.uk website. What are they? Well, they're not a matching pair, but they are a pair of silver-plated Mid-century, so 1950s, 1960s, 70s, that kind of period, but probably around the 50s. Bud vases. And they are silver-plated. I don't think there's a maker's mark on the bottom as such. They both say silver-plated, made in England. So a little bit of quality, weighty. And as I mentioned, I think as a pair, I may well add these to the Antique Central website rather than sending them off to the cash can. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Here we have a container or a caddy for preserves. It would have had a lid originally. That's gone walkabout. Don't know where that is. I don't think I had it when it came in the job lot box I got from the auction. So in itself, it's just an attractive, decorative piece of storage, basically. So you could use it as a brush pot, or even if you had some kitchen tools, you could drop them in. As I say, it's quite decorative in itself. It says preserves on it. It's brass with a copper base. There, good example there. You can see the difference between the brass, which is the more yellow in colour, and the copper, which is a richer brown colour. And that's a good example there of the difference between brass and copper. And it has an engraved design of a large fruit bowl. I don't know if you can see that. You could just about make it out. So an attractive piece in itself, but it's going off to the cash can. Right, here's a big bad boy, a massive spanner. No, that's this, not me. Well, it might be me as well, to be honest. I'll leave that up to you. Leave a comment below. Two massive spanners. Not a lot to say about it. Does what it says on the tin. Big engineering piece. There are collectors out there for this kind of item. I listed it on my eBay store for probably 12 to 18 months. Not a single piece of interest. So it's going off to the cash can. All right, this is a good example of an item that would have been of sufficient quality and value to put on my website, but because of a small amount of damage, I'm not going to put it on there. And the damage you can see is on the handle there. It's an very early plastic. I would say pre-war, possibly 1930s, 1920s, that kind of period. It is a brass kettle or teapot and could be used for displaying dried flowers or similar. Is there a maker's mark on the bottom? There is. Very worn, but it looks like JCB. I may do a bit more research on that. A few dints and dents, again, which devalues it in some people's eyes. In other people's eyes, they love that aspect of it. It's all part of the teapot's journey and its story. So a lovely little decorative brass teapot, albeit with a little bit of damage, but would look really nice in a little coffee shop or a tea shop as a decorative display item. I'm kind of talking myself into putting it onto my website, but it's not going to happen because of the damage. But I'm hoping that might be worth a little bit to Vintage Cash Can. Now, these are two really quirky items. They're measures, pair of them, as you can see. This one here is in centimetres. They do stand up. I'd have to stand all the way back here. Used to sit it. I don't know. There you go. So that's the sort of height of it, and it does stand up. Hand painted, handmade, obviously shed built. Don't know what it was used for. A gauge. Anyway, that's in centimetres, and that one, the smaller one, that's in inches, and that goes up to 10 inches for some peculiar reason. Why it doesn't go to 12 inches, I don't know. And the centimetre rule goes to 50 centimetres. Again, are they quirky enough to go on my website? Maybe I'll reconsider and add them, just give them a go maybe for a few months, see what happens. They are decorative, quite unusual. Don't know, I'll update you on that on the next video. Okay, here we have a vintage candlestick. It's got some age, stainless steel, and that's my stock number, my old stock number. It was listed on the eBay, in the eBay store, but no interest at all. But it is a nice little column candlestick, and certainly is it silver plated? You know, that could be silver plated on brass. You can see the remnants there. You see the brass looks like the little circle around the base screw where you can just see the base metal coming through, which is brass. So that could well be silver plated. So that's going off to Vintage Cash Cow. Very quickly, won't waste time on these. Similar to the previous item I showed you, a little silver plated candle holder. No great age. It is vintage. Nice design. No maker's mark, but silver plated, so it will have some value. And another candle holder. Again, silver plated, original base, late 20th century, no huge age. But if you think about it, even the late 20th century now is 23 years old. So, or 23 years ago. So, can you call this vintage? What's your definition of vintage? Let me know in the comments below. And here is a small brass miniature fire guard. Now, you might remember in the previous Vintage Cash Cow film, that's easy for me to say, I did send one of these off amongst 32 items. So value-wise, it doesn't really have a huge, if any, amount of value, but it just adds to the job lot that I'm sending off. You know, price-wise, a few pence really. It was in the eBay store. No interest, so off it goes. Here's the last of the, I suppose you might call this a tea light holder. So this will be late 20th century. Silver plated tea light holder. And last out, we have a piece of kitchenalia with a marriage of a separate top. This doesn't go with it, but just gives it finishes it off, gives it a little look, I suppose. Decorative piece of old vintage kitchenalia. Probably came from the continent. No marks on the bottom. It is what it is. There are collectors for this, so I'm sure Vintage Cash Cow will, you know, consider it of some value. So that's going in the box along with the rest of the stock. So about 20 items in total, complete range of stock, and hopefully Vintage Cash Cow will consider making an offer, because if you watch some of my previous films, you'll understand now that's what you do. You pack your box off, they send you free shipping labels, you send it off, they assess it, or their panel of experts assess the contents of the box, they call you back within a couple of days, make you an offer, and if you accept it, the money will be paid direct into your bank account. So, well, the last time on the same day, or at least within sort of 24, 48 hours. If you're not happy with the offer that they made, they will send it all back to you free of charge. So if you say, you know, for somebody selling stock, what have you got to lose? And it's a great way for me to move on all of my job lot stock I've acquired over the years from various auctions. So if you're still here with me, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. And the little bonus is the sneak preview of the new workshop space. Well, part of it anyway. There's quite a lot more to see, to be quite honest. And I will make a separate film featuring what I've done, and you can let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Thanks for watching. As ever, please like, comment, share, subscribe, stand on the top of the roof and shout about the channel. It's all about growing the community here. If you are a new subscriber, please let me know where in the world you're from, and I'll feature you in the digital subscriber list that usually scrolls across the bottom of the screen on every video. Don't need to know exactly where you are, just roughly where in the world you're from. But as ever, the most important thing to me is take care, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.